I, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Užupis University, of Užupis Republic, sorry, bless the opening of Munich exhibition.
All right, that's great.
Cool.
All right, so for those that are watching the recording now, I was just reminded that we started without the recording and we just presented the agenda, and we're going to jump right into the presenting the topic of the metaverse and what was the motivation behind all this. All right. So I want to start with like what is a metaverse, and I start with like saying I would like to talk about metaverses, like the plural. I'm not sure whether that's the correct plural. It sounds a bit strange, but at least I want to tell first of all, there's a lot of different ideas about what a metaverse is, and there is no single person, no Mark Zuckerberg that can tell us, okay, a metaverse will be looking like this, and this is the function of a metaverse, and this is how we should design it, and this is how we're going to do it. There's a huge variety and still a huge uncertainty and many options where this all could go. But this is one sentence. I think this at the moment it really sums up what most of the metaverse stuff is about. So it says a metaverse is a network of 3D virtual worlds focused on social connection, and this is from wikipedia.com. And it's if you look at some places or look where the things that are close to being called a metaverse, because there is no standard for what is a metaverse. You can call anything a metaverse. But the things that they share is in most cases it's a 3D world where you can move around with your avatar and meet other people that are moving around at the same time. And this is not a new idea. This had not been invented by the blockchain crew or the NFT people. This is something that we already know, at least dating back to ideas like our games like Second Life or Minecraft, or also like World of Warcraft. And these are the roots, like in a technical sense, for the metaverse. I think in an ideological sense, people say the idea of the metaverse stems from the book Snow Crash. I'm not sure where they can see me right now. And I'm holding up this book, Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson from 1992. And this is where the terms metaverse comes from, and he describes like parallel universes which are built by hackers and controlled by hackers, and in which they can make all their own rules and design the worlds according to their needs. And this is like kind of what I could find, if you want to like try to define this concept, because it's still very vague and there's a lot of possibilities. And the important factors that design a metaverse at the moment are the experience you create there, the assets that are available there, and the community that is active there. And I'm going to show a few examples from recent so-called metaverses. So here's when you go into the metaverse. I mean, the question is, okay, if you have a metaverse, a digitally designed 3D virtual world, you have all the options. You can create whatever you want, whatever you can imagine, whatever you can design. So what will you find in a metaverse? And the interesting thing for me, at least, so the most common metaverses that I've visited is you find a lot of stuff that you really like from the real world, and you just go a little bit further. You make it more colorful. You make it bigger. You add more attractions. For example, you see this kind of like a fair with a lot of attractions. This is something you can find in a metaverse. But you can also go to like to an exhibition, visit an art exhibition from artworks that are otherwise located somewhere far away, or which only exist digitally. So it's just a natural way to present them in a metaverse. And when it comes to the assets part, is like the most metaverses today, they have land and property which is up for sale, and this is the way that they finance each other themselves. So you can think about it what you want. I personally think, well, in the best case everything would be free in this world, but I prefer NFT sales more than micro-targeted advertisement. Maybe this will come soon as well, but at the moment this is just one way to finance such projects, because you need a lot of manpower to run a metaverse. And this is, for example, the map of crypto voxels, where you can see the different areas on the map, and then you can try to get your hands on a parcel which is close to some special place where a lot of people are running around. So it's almost like in the real world, the location matters the most, and people pay a lot for that. And there was, with regards to land sales, there was just this crazy drop by Bored Ape Yacht Club, by the Yoga Labs, and they just dropped a lot of, I think about 30,000 parcels, and the top parcels are already selling for almost $1 million US. I think they're not even 1 week old, and nobody really knows what to do with it, but there's a lot of craziness and hype behind, and a lot of people really believe in this. And you can also you can also buy your clothing there. I mean, it's like it's a way that you can, just like in real world, if you want to express yourself in a special way, it will cost you something. Maybe it's a little bit more extreme than in the real world, because some pullover can easily cost you 100 Ethereum, which is like a little bit less than $300,000. I'm not sure how often this is sold, but these Bitcoin glasses, they're actually selling a lot, and you have to pay like 10,000, 15,000 euros for them. So your avatar can wear these crazy glasses, and this is a big part. And I'm not mentioning just to tell like, okay, this is the most important if you want to build a metaverse. It's just the observation, okay, that we right now, when we're building metaverses, we put a lot of stuff in there that we know from the reality. So we make it like a little bit, design it like copies, but a little bit more fun. And of course, you go there for parties, and you can dress up with the wearables you bought, and you can meet people, and you can have interactions with people that you wouldn't meet otherwise somewhere in the world. So this is really a big advantage of metaverses in comparison, as far as I see, in comparison to many other social media. It's like that you can really get into deep conversations with valuable contacts with which you would not reach via Twitter, Facebook, or something else. Maybe sometimes it needs you to have this amazing Bitcoin pullover to get their attention. I don't know, but at least it seems to be possible. All right. So, and there's also this one idea. This is a meme that I found, and I really like this, because there's this metaverse stuff. It looks colorful, and sometimes it looks a little bit like childish game worlds, but there's a lot of thinking behind, and there's a lot of hope behind. And I'm just gonna, you see here somebody saying GM, which stands for good morning, and this is like in the crypto space. This is the way to say, to synchronize your NFT family. Whenever you wake up, you turn on Twitter and say GM, and people see, okay, now your clock starts for this day. And people know, okay, if somebody says GM, he's somehow related to this Web 3.0 metaverse, crypto, NFT space. And what's actually behind is like, I'm going to just read it. Web 3.0's decentralized blockchain protocol will enable individuals to connect to an internet where they can own and be properly compensated for their time and data, eclipsing an exploitative and unjust web where giant centralized repositories are the only ones that own and profit from it. So big hope, and it's absolutely not clear whether this will be really come true. This is just to give you one idea, one of the visions that are behind all of this. And of course, there's a big struggle, and of course, the big companies that are making the big profits in the Web 2.0, of course, they want to also make their big profits in the Web 3.0. And you already see a lot of moves by big companies buying NFTs, buying land, creating their own projects. But in general, there's the idea of the decentralization, and that people can really design the worlds that they want and need. And this is something that if I for myself want to define what the metaverse is, I think I always use this metaphor. It's like a lucid dream. And because a metaverse, it's a world that is made of code. You can write that code, and in the future you will be able to change this code on the go. And therefore it's like whatever you wish to see to be, it will be there. It could be there instantly. And this is something which would be possible by metaverses, with all the complexity and chaos that this might cause. But in the total big picture, this is something that is behind there. And this is also what you can already find in the book Snow Crash, just this idea that you can become the own god of your own world, and you can create it and create the perfect world just as you want it. And this is, first of all, this sounds like a pretty cool option. Obviously it's a question what you make out of it. And that's why it's important to discuss about metaverse right now, because there are a lot of people getting into this and trying to shape it in certain directions. And therefore, I think that's why we made this exhibition, just to give more people the chance to just know what this is all about, and know what their opinion could be on this, and know how they could like even contribute and shape this future. All right, so some questions that we are trying to answer over the course of the exhibition is like, what are metaverses at all? So I gave you some ideas where this could go. How do they emerge? What do they actually consist of? And how will they influence society? What will be the effects, the interaction between virtual reality and the real reality, or how you want to call this in the end? Are there any questions so far? So if you have some questions, I cannot see anyone at the moment, so just please unmute yourself.
I guess we're good to go so far.
All right, and then I will just present quickly a few works that we will show. So the idea is we will start with, we have 5 screens there. We will start with 5 artists showing 1 or 2 works, and for a period of about 2 weeks, and then we will show a next round of new artists or new works, and explain a little bit what these pieces can tell and contribute to the discussion about the metaverse. So it's like, again, we're not trying to give a perfect explanation or like guidelines. This is how you should understand or build metaverses. We're just trying to give like impulses on how you could see them, what you could see in them, what you could make out of them, and how they really relate to our current reality. All right, so the gallery itself, it's, as I said, located at the Marienplatz here on the left. I'm not sure whether you can see my mouse cursor. You have this picture which shows the location. Here's the metro station, Marienplatz. On the right-hand side, you can see the city hall. And there's the small passage. Once you enter, you see this window with our screens and this little sign. And there you can see the NFT works. It's all NFT works. All the works shown there are minted as NFTs, and you can also check the website and find the real NFT link, and also get some more information on the works. So the first work is by our co-curator Gleb Divov, Messier M87. So Gleb, please interrupt me if I'm telling something wrong about this. But this, as I understood, so this is like this is, first of all, this is the first Lithuanian NFT ever minted. Plus, what you see here is a sonification of NASA data coming from the Messier M87 black hole. I'm not sure whether you remember, a few years ago, suddenly people had photos of a black hole, and it was just like this little vague yellowish spot in a dark background. And this is a picture how it could look like when you use sonification, when you use the sound data. And the reason why we use this for the as part of the exhibition for the metaverse, it's just this gives a little bit like the cosmic frame. It's like it says, okay, the metaverse, first of all, it's inside the universe, and we're still, while we are trying to build new parallel universes, don't forget we still didn't know how exactly our own universe works, and there's still so many mysteries in there. And plus this work also shows that everything is mediated by data. And right here we see a picture which looks much more detailed than the visual pictures that we have from the black hole M87. And so this is the question: what is the real reality that is shown and that is mediated by data, and which part does a metaverse play? And because metaverses, they also consist only out of data, but they interpret it and present it in a certain way, and there's also always a little bit of change in there. And this is what we want to highlight with this piece.
I guess I need to add that this picture is created not exactly by me, but by artificial intelligence, by musical blockchain. And the data was fed into the musical blockchain. It was processed by AI. So there is no my hand at that picture at all. So that was
okay. So we have to delete your artist name. Okay. So I think, but the same goes for the next work, right? This has also been AI.
Yeah. So
right.
for this work, this is the artwork which represent the game of heart and brain. And it's animated artwork which created with artificial intelligence, but in this case it was collaboration with one of the great Lithuanian artists, Vilmantas Marcinkevičius. So we together decided to process his artworks of brain and heart in a way that heart plays with brain and brain plays with heart. So how it can go through that. So it means like it's the same metaphor for metaverse, and not only for metaverse, but for multiverse, when exists and parallel universes, real and virtual, exist at the same time. So this is a great metaphor for explaining how metaverse can affect reality and how reality can affect metaverse.
Yeah, thank you very much. And unfortunately, I'm only showing a still bit because it's just for the presentation, not to be too big, but it's a 1 minute animation loop, very mesmerizing to watch. And in general, if you have the chance to drop by the gallery, I can really recommend to come by nighttime when the screens are floating and glowing in the dark. And this looks really impressive. A little bit a little bit similar in a similar direction goes the work by Betty Mew here from Munich, Vortex Sky Triangle. And I only show still here, then you have to come to the gallery or visit the website to see the video. It's also 1 minute animation showing mixing different layers of reality, different layers of perception, and showing like starting with palm trees and beach scenes, but also skies, clouds, and geometric forms. And this is also something like a little bit that I'm looking forward to, and also at the same time afraid of when I think of metaverses, because there's like, you have right now as a human in the reality, you are the director of your movie. But once you're in a metaverse, it's directed by the code, and many layers of reality which are now completely in sync could get in chaos, which could lead to like totally traumatic results, but could also lead to totally fantastic experience that we cannot imagine right now. And this, but still, it will always be bound to the human nature and the human body, just like to the brain and Gleb's work before, which is a very, which will always be a very important factor in interpreting and creating this world in the first place. All right, the next work, and then there's 2 more to go. This is by Space, an artist who he gave us just one part of a collaborative work, and I really like this because this is obviously it's the Mona Lisa, one of the most important, culturally important artworks in human history, but it has been edited almost in an insulting way and it a little bit to my mind represents this revolutionary spirit of the NFT space and their great self-esteem, and I think, okay, art is cool and classic art is cool, but now we're here and we're making new rules. At the same time, this piece it shows the Bitcoin variables that I've shown you before, and it's almost mixing like this ideas of how you value art, not just because, I mean, it appears a little bit that you before crypto valued art more for the cultural importance, which comes from in which museums it was and who owned it, who painted it, of course, in the first place. It seems like for crypto art, NFT art, there's also just the value of itself. It has become a cultural part and a cultural factor. NFT added, when you buy an NFT, you not just buy the NFT, but you also buy the experiences of purchasing a digital good for a sometimes very high amount of money, which is an event that was not there before and which adds another layer to the art market. And then the last 2 pieces, it's like by Crypto Wiener, OG crypto collective from Vienna. And the first is Euda. This is just one of the characters. Very, very simple character, and this is just one example of for the aesthetics that you find a lot in projects that get close to metaverses. At the moment, if you compare it to computer games from right now, it looks very, very simple, very reduced. But at the same time, it's fully functional, and it's always about like, okay, yeah, we know how it looks, but it's about the function and what it can do in the future. And this piece is it also addresses the community. It works like a blueprint, and we see this person saying "Oida," which is like an expression of protest here in Berlin. It's, in Munich, it's like, hey, what's going on? There are a lot of meanings, but you can easily see this as an invitation to also join and to unionize, which often happens with profile pictures, with NFT profile pictures, that you use a profile picture to show that you belong to a community and share their values. And this is organized with such simple shapes sometimes. And from this simple 2D shape, we go to a very tasty 3D shape. And this is the fluffy Krapfen, also created by Crypto Wiener, which is also it's a 3D model. It's absolutely doesn't look realistic at all. They totally exploited this blocky pixel graphics. But this is not the important part about it, how it looks. The funny part about it is this connection to the real world. If you buy this NFT and you have this JPEG in your crypto wallet, you will be allowed to go to, I think Störk is the name, to a bakery in Vienna on Carnival and get 5 of these Krapfen for free until the end of your life. And this is something that also we chose this work because this so directly shows the connection between the virtual worlds that we are building and the real worlds that we have, and how we could like play with this and how these worlds could benefit from each other. And this is something very important to us, that we're not saying here, okay, forget the universe, the metaverse is coming, reality was smelt anyway, so now everything is nicer. No, it will always both exist, and we have to find out what is good for what. All right, so I think this is it from my side. more arts can more works can be seen at the gallery and of course on the website. And I think now it would be the time for Gleb to dive into the history and state of the art of NFT from his point of view, from the point of a real crypto OG. So I'm going to stop sharing my slides unless someone has questions in here. Doesn't look like that. Then please, Gleb, the stage is yours.
Okay, I'll try to be not very boring, just because when I'm diving into history and hold all these small facts and so on, usually just like it's too much of information, and even without technical details, it's still like makes people want to sleep. So I'll try to present the history of NFT in let's say my way. Okay, can you see?
Yes, we can see it.
You can see it. And so that will be the presentation of history. Why I can do this? I guess because I kind of, let's say, contributed to the whole movement of crypto art and to NFT world. And let's say in last 5 years, I've been quite active. First, I dived into blockchain world in 2015. And that was just my, let's say, first introduction to just dig and think about it in completely different way. I always, as a creative technologist, looking at technology as something that gives you more freedom to create and make it more interesting. So looking at technology like, okay, blockchain is like everyone still saying like blockchain is a Bitcoin and it's all about money and stuff, for me was completely unbearable. I don't know. So it's something that really was too not interesting. So I started thinking about the technology from the creative side and how to connect it with real world, with virtual world, and so on and so on. And that led me to creation of Digital Culture Center, which is, by the way, slides are changing. Can you see different slides?
Yes, slides changed.
All,
yes.
all good. So this led me to Digital Culture Center creation, and that was the platform which allowed not only to create something, but also interact and do it on a social level. So it's definitely important to network, to speak with people, to brainstorm all together, and just exchange your ideas, feelings, and so on and so on. And it creates really a nice collaborations that also goes international, and that was the main idea for Digital Culture Center, because at that time it was back in 2019. I already was active with lectures and stuff, but that was only like single things. So for me, it was like, okay, I'm creating something that will help not only local people, but international. And with that, there was also created a Crypto Art Hub for Baltics and Europe. And that was, let's say, a revolutionary step for the whole movement. Crypto art at that time was some, I don't know, something for geeks and blockchain people who was around the community and knew that. And when, for example, in 2018, I went to our galleries in Lithuania, and I was like, okay, we have some digital art and we want to show it. So it's crypto art, it's new. And most of the people were just like, no, we're not dealing with that digital things. So digital things, like keep these digital things as a slideshow on your computer. So for me, that was again some sort of challenge to not only tell about it, but create something to change the way people looking at it. So with that, we started doing pop-up exhibitions. So that led to creation of the technology for displaying NFTs and creation of these gallery frame screens that we right now using in Munich. And with that, also there was my own approach to metaverse, and it was more like multiverse, like I mentioned before. So I started Multiverse Gallery Network, which connect different spaces in different countries in different cities, and connects on a way that, for example, if we're showing right now this exhibition in Munich, we also have some time, dedicated time in different galleries in the gallery network. And during that time, these works that right now in Munich will be displayed in all the galleries of the network. So this way we, let's say, making new tool, not only for artists who already exist in gallery network, but also, for example, for new students. So students who just finished the university, who doesn't never showed any exhibitions, and they want to show somewhere in a good hall in the city. Usually curators from that hall's telling like, okay, go and have some exhibition in the small galleries, show us that you're in demand, and then come to us. So this way, if we're showing their works in a multiverse gallery network, this means that they have straight away international exhibitions at the moment in 4 countries. So this way they getting their, let's say, first reactions from the public, and then they can do much more. So this thing, it was created to not only to display, but also to help people not to be in a situation where I've been, let's say, 20-something years ago. So that all goes from the personal point of view, and it's not a secret that it's better if you're doing something for, let's say, to change the situation for you, and then it could be scaled for the world. So that's how it all started for me, and now we are ready to just jump into a little ride with the history of crypto art and NFTs and stuff. And the first thing I would like to start with is that crypto art in reality is not only, let's say, digital pictures or things sold with NFTs, but that's something that actually could be a metadata, just ASCII graphics that's stored on the blockchain. And that was probably the first example in the crypto art timeline. So back in 2011, there was first graphics and first hidden messages stored in the block on the Bitcoin blockchain. And I wouldn't say that that's most referred fact, but in art, like in crypto art history, I would say that that's the first thing. Then in 2012, there was colored coins on the Namecoin extension of Bitcoin blockchain. And that experimental project was about the whole exploration of the idea how these small things that connected to the blocks can be non-fungible. So tokens could be non-fungible, but at the same time connected to the global blockchain. And that experiment was successful. Then, as history goes, there appeared counterparty, which also was so-called Bitcoin 2.0, and that was asset creator on the Bitcoin blockchain, which had this idea that later evolved into NFTs. So you could store metadata and link to resources, to assets, using this counterparty. And that spawned some first projects connected with art. and let's say music, but that was a bit later. And in 2015, I remember this as just like, oh, okay, another people just exploring this blockchain universe and trying to steal the spotlight. And when Ethereum appeared, I looked at it like, there's like something again with additional experiment, and probably I should not look into it deeply. So that was my like first thought when I first saw it. Then there appeared Ethereum. That is the like first virtual world where you could buy properties. So like blocks and farm next blocks and so on and so on. And that was actually the prototype of the metaverse, let's say like this. Prototype of the metaverse, how we think about it now. Then in 2015, there happened a nice thing. Imogen Heap, one of, let's say, great artists and also friend, created song Tiny Human and released it as token. So that was, let's say, very interesting approach to crowdfunding. And it was not really successful just because it was sold for $133, I think. So like combine and compare prices right now and at that time. So, but that showed that the idea of use of different blockchains as art connection between different worlds was successful. And that was the fact that turned my, let's say, my attention to Ethereum finally. And since that time I started, okay, now I need to explore this blockchain world and think how can I do something with it in a creative way. So bring my creative approach to it. So I could say that since 2015, I was already not, let's say, going by or passing by, but started exploring it from the technology side. In 2016, on the Bitcoin counterparty, was released Rare Pepes, and also there was released crypto music pack by, there was a, and still great creator, Rare Skrilla. So that was just amazing drop of music and drop of memes on the Bitcoin blockchain. And that was the spawn of the collection mania. So that Pepes was, let's say, like collectible cards, and people started collecting and still collecting. And that's the huge movement, which right now, I guess, on every blockchain that allow to have NFTs. So that there is always will be Rare Pepes, which completely different and not copying the existed on the different blockchains. In 2017, there was released CryptoPunks on ERC20 token, and that was pre-NFT fact, let's say. So CryptoPunks' first version was on ERC20, and that was not an NFT, but that was the great collectible project. And a bit later, there was a proposal for ERC721 as NFT standard. And that was the beginning of the NFT, let's say, NFT journey out as we know it now. Later, after the release of the standard, there was CryptoKittens and Mooncats. So first collectibles that could be combined and exchanged and so on and so on. So it's kind of gamification. And it was the beginning of, let's say, NFT games, probably. So that was not exactly games at the time, but that was something that had interaction, and you could just not only buy NFTs and hodl it, but just do something with it. So it was kind of first attempt to implement utility. In 2017 also, there was the launch of the OpenSea, and probably because it was launched that early, right now it's the most popular. Of course, it's most popular not only by that, but because you can just easily go and add without any registration. So that was the like great recipe to invite communities. And in 2018, there was a lot of new communities, small communities with small blockchain projects, which started exchanging information. And that showed that crypto art world and the whole NFT world is really different from what you have in a, let's say, real art world or real IT world or startup world. At that time was the post ICO boom, and IT companies started looking as same like right now as an investment. So people tried to just like jump into that communities and said like, okay, we would like to invest and so on and so on. But communities show that this thing is about like, and the whole NFT movement is about sharing, is about supporting, and about really giving another meaning and give more meaning to art and stuff. So more platforms appeared. There was platforms which are very curated and you cannot get in. And at that time, it was very so elite to be on, for example, on super rare and stuff. But for most people, it was just like, okay, we're participating in community life and people know about us, know our art. So that was already something for, let's say, for a great interaction and great networking. In 2018, also, first attempt to combine Metaverse and NFT resulted in crypto voxels. And since that time, virtual reality as the world where you can buy asset, buy land and build something started to developing, and Metaverse itself just popped up as a word. And at that time, it was like, oh, okay, it's the virtual reality with just additional, let's say, social interaction. But in reality, this way of presenting NFTs was the great example of the galleries, new galleries and the galleries of the new age. In 2018, we launched Musical Blockchain, which also kind of changed the history, because when I launched it, I already explored the idea of audio NFT. So I was exploring it since 2017. But the main problem was that IPFS as the storage platform was too limited, and you were just unable to add music to your NFT. So that was the split in the, let's say, brainstorm. And together with Known Origin platform, we collaborated and just first tried to use MP4 as the combined standard for music NFTs. So as music NFTs are now. And this launch contributed to the popularization of the music NFTs in the global sense. So like I mentioned before, I started exploring with people from America and France. Together, we started creating prototypes of different tools to display NFTs, just because it's obvious that if you have it in your wallet, that's cool for you. But if you want to show it, you need to have a proper device and a proper look. So we started with first pop-up exhibition in 2018 using just the screens. And we continued doing that in 2019, but it showed that people not really paying attention. So that was the idea, to change the way how we present art, and that art that we're displaying should be, it should look like art, not just like pictures on any screens. So that was the idea of the prototypes for gallery frame and for different DIY prototypes that right now developing. And it's really great to see that it's not like, abandoned project that you just like creating and then you forgetting about it. And it shows that people really want to have these tools, and the exact showcase of the crypto art is in demand. So in 2019, since communities were online mainly before, in 2019 people started looking at the possibilities of these real meetups. And the first meetups and first exhibitions, for example, like we had in Manchester, or we had it in America, in in Miami. So that was the first meetups that show that it is really more important to meet in person, and just to have this, like, to hang out and to have this exchange of thoughts and exchange of different ideas. So that led also to a lot of different collaborations between real art, like artists from the real art world, like those who never thought about any digital things, and the new generation of these digital artists. And that was pre-quarantine era, and it looked so bright and it was so cool. So we were just like hoping for the future, and that it would be great. So that led to creation and launch of this Digital Culture Center and Crypto Art Hub in Europe. And then we had this lockdown, and during the lockdown, Web3 as term entered the room, just because people started, like, in reality, first mention of Web3, I guess, was in 2006. So it was about like building a new one, decentralized thing. So it wasn't about decentralization, but about ability to share without these centralized players. So in 2020, with rise of Zoom and all these online meetings and virtual spaces, people also started like thinking about that. Okay, there is the global corporation which control this service, and it's not really great. And we have possibility to make something decentralized. So there was already possibility to make decentralized apps on the Ethereum and other blockchains which appeared at the moment. So that's probably why it was really frequently used everywhere, that, okay, it's Web3, it connect all these things, it use NFTs, it use Metaverse and stuff. And at that time, it was really great to see different attempts of art researchers to explore the Web3 from artistic perspective and also from Metaverse point. So, for example, I participated in, let's say, joint collaboration of curators from 6 countries, and we created Art Research Center in the Metaverse. And that was also exploration of the idea of Web3, and there was some mention of NFTs and so on and so on. And artists, like crypto artists, participated in that, and it was really great showcase of different artists who dig in the idea and who just decided to share their artistic view on how to change some real world challenges. So it was already same metaverse in a way. And yeah, so that was the great possibility to explore new things without any, like, without being afraid that something will go wrong. Same 2020 brought beginning of mass adoption of NFTs, and with the Clubhouse wave, which just like was a light voice chat, it became something that, like, all the invites was spread out in the end of 2020 and at the beginning of 2021, and people started talking about it. And like artists who never thought about being digital, suddenly, like, not all, unfortunately, but like a lot of them suddenly realized that, okay, there is something happening and we're already missing some years. So they started participating in all these Clubhouse chats, and later in 2021 in Twitter Spaces and so on and so on. So that was great example how people just exploring the world. So from the real world into virtual one through the window of Zoom, they were looking as some source, at some source of information, and started their experiments. So as an inspiration for that was, let's say, people started looking at NFTs not only as the way to sell digital assets, but to have something more. And that was the rise of utility. So first talks about tickets for events, or first talks about using this like with Bitcoin Pizza. So you can just like use something virtual to get something in the real world. That was the first mass contribution to the utility thing. In 2021, after maybe the most notable example is the Elon Musk talk in Clubhouse. So that was the thing when people just like realized that Clubhouse is something more than just a voice chat, but a great community at that time. And there was the beginning of this, all this use of CryptoPunks and all these apes as the profile picture. And that was already a new hype and the new mania that you can show that you're really cool and so on and so on if you use this linked NFT as your profile picture to show that you're really like wealthy and that's your status and so on and so on. And that led to the rise of the invest mania and flipping, which spoiled the whole thing for the press and for the media coverage, just because media always looked into the, okay, this costs that much, this costs that much, and probably you need to buy this and sell this, and that's the NFTs. So that was the thing that we, since that time, fighting really, really, really hard, just because NFT is not about investing. That's the, like, NFT is the certificate. What is it about? It's about showing that it's like, it is true and it's original, but it's like nothing about like, okay, you need to buy, you need to invest and so on and so on. So then we started doing more things all together with like as a global community, as a collaboration between artists and just doing exhibitions and stuff and so on and so on. It was really cool to see the connection between people on the American side of the world, on Europe side of the world, and it was just a global meetings and all this NFT New York and global meetups and so on. So that was the really great rise of, let's say, collaboration work for the artists. And one of that collaborations began in the 2021 and really showed that it was a great collaboration in 2022, and that was the release of Tele NFT. And that collection, which right now in the permanent collection of real world museums, show that it is really important to combine different universes. So we combining metaverse itself, we combining virtual reality of teletext, we combining digital art, and all together we're looking at it as the space of impossible possibilities. So that also was the great inspiration and the great boost to appearance of the first NFT gallery in Bavaria. So that was really like, you know, the whole thing about this small but real gallery is that when we started talking about this, it was more like, is it possible at all? And like, for me, it is really like, there is nothing impossible and we just need to do it. So first talks just led to the creation of this gallery and appearance it in the place. And since this gallery is the like mobile thing, right now, I am happy to say that it will be and it will stay in the physical world. So we will be changing places, but we will have it more or less permanently everywhere. And maybe we will make a tour. So we're here in 2022. And what's next? Probably next thing is that, okay, that there is something we need to tell together with Max, just because something could be a secret that I should not tell. But one of the things is that for this small gallery, we will have metaverse representation, and we will be connecting again real world and virtual world, and artists who right now participating will be represented in our metaverse, in our virtual reality. And that's the possibility to showcase not only on a local level, but on a global level. So that's the first thing. Then we will have some utility connected. And if you will have some exclusive NFTs in the, like from the gallery screens, there will be some more secrets which will end up with Bavarian NFT meetup. With that, I guess one question that appears, are you ready for the future? So thank you. That was the very short history in my way. And that's how I see it, and like how I feel it from the perspective of somebody who just like inside of that for years.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. This was really, really insightful. And of course, I like the end with these magnificent projects going on in Bavaria. This is, of course, the best of the whole NFT space. Thank you very much. Are there any questions in the audience? Maybe while people are still thinking, I have a question, because you mentioned the term utility, and they're always, it's used so often in so many different ways, and that's totally confusing to me. How do you see utility in NFT? Do you have examples? How do you understand that?
So with utility NFTs, there is a lot of examples, and I can tell from what we're doing and from what it is available in the world. So for example, in the world, there is a great utility for music NFTs, which just if you're buying this NFT, you have already a ticket to the concerts. That's the simplest example. And if you just like if you're buying NFT, for example, tangible NFT, which is combined physical and digital one, like we produced back in probably in 2020 or 2021. So if you're buying NFT, you're getting a sculpture. So that was collaboration with Estonian artists, like first concrete NFT, just because the sculpture is made of concrete. And that was really great possibility to add that if you have this NFT, you have also pass to the secret club. And with that NFT, you're contributing to, let's say, carbon removal, which is a very important question. So that was already some simple examples, and that's just the beginning of it.
Thank you very much. All right. Any other questions? Well, if not, we could already go on to the next part, which is Claudie Linke explaining us how to get started after we heard all of the wonderful possibilities and the beautiful history of NFT. Maybe some in here did not yet mint an NFT on their own, and now we might get some insights on where to start. So Claudie, the stage is yours.
Thank you. That was very interesting, Gleb and Max. A lot of good information here. So yeah, I want to now go back to like something very basic. I'm not sure exactly what the knowledge is from everybody. So if it's like too basic, what I'll explain, please let me know and we can go like a level higher. but I was thinking, let's go like really pragmatic and go an open sea and like launch a little like NFTs ourselves. So just so you see like how like in the meantime is actually like very accessible and easy to navigate, like very different than in the beginning. But let me maybe share my screen. So share. All right. Oops, sorry, I have to. Can you see my screen? Does that work?
Yes, it's on
Cool.
full size.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank
you. So yeah, as mentioned, I just want to give you like a brief introduction in how to create NFTs on a very basic level. As said, like if that's boring for you, please let me know and we can skip like the basics. First, maybe like a little bit, but before we like dive into just a little bit something about myself, I'm an artist and illustrator. I'm launching most of my work on Super Rare. I'm from Germany, but now I'm currently like most of the year based in Indonesia on Bali. Yeah, maybe I just show you a little bit of my work other than talking about myself. Like that was like my first piece I launched on a Super Rare in 2020. And yeah, maybe I just play it. That's all right for you. It's called The Wild West. It was collected by MoCA, Museum of Crypto Art. All right. Whoops. No, not repeat. I want to go to the next slide. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, so that was like one of my first works on Super Rare. And I think Mark said it before, like when I entered like the Gleb also said it, like when I like entered the NFT space and the whole crypto scene, like what annoyed me a lot, like in the beginning, was like that a lot of the talk was only like about or like in mass media, it's about money, like how do you make money, and it's only about money, and that's I mean, yeah, it is for a part, and art was always about money, but it's such a, I always hated that it kind of like, the problem with it that is that it directs the conversation like in a wrong yeah, in the wrong corner. That's like so much more about it, and people just don't understand the other side. So what, and I think everyone who enters the NFT space probably goes a little bit like through the rabbit hole of researching things and then finding like little corners of whatever you find interesting. And for me, it was like kind of like the blockchain and the crypto economic side of things, like probably also because of my background before. I studied illustration. I actually studied economics and business in Munich, actually. And I always thought, like, when I was studying, like, oh, something's wrong here. Things don't really connect. Like, there's so many, like, assumptions and, like, I don't know, the assumption of the fully rational man is just not right. And then also, like, yeah, all the algorithms and like the data behind the ideas was just like too theoretical. And now like in the blockchain and crypto, there's like so much potential for like new ideas and like things how we can fix the problems that we have now in the world to yeah, make it into something like more interesting. So I became more and more interested in but also like one other thing, like a lot of people were also like so annoyed from the blockchain and the whole thing, like it's too complex, I don't want to dive into it, it's I don't know, it terrifies me, which I totally understand because people don't have so much time. But I like early on developed the idea, I want to explain these ideas like in a more simple way. So my take was like, I now go a step back, I take a little bit time off, I convinced like some of my early collectors to fund a project which I'm now working on for over a year, and it's going to be something like a small graphic novel explaining like the kind of like the history of power and money, and putting it a little bit like into the context of what we see now happening, and then what could that be in the metaverse or in alternative futures. And it also then like there's so many like inspiring people in the NFT world. I also saw like, wow, VR, like virtual reality, actually that's for me like the ultimate medium for storytelling and for the ultimate medium for art. Really, like I think Mark said it before, it's like lucid dreaming, right? Like I now can put like my dream, what I have, like into your dream or into your brain. And that's so powerful. And also that you can kind of like give the embodiment back to people. Like I'm now working a lot with dancers and with choreographers, like the characters that I create and sculpt in VR. I'm using like a motion capsule, like a full body suit, and I can now collaborate with dancers and choreographers to bring that embodied element back to the space. So I'm kind of like going a very different way than like all the super transhumanist people who say like, okay, we upload our brains somewhere in the metaverse and we forget, we give up on kind of like the human project. But I think that's actually the beauty of it. It's still a very open place. Everyone can literally like do whatever you want to do with it. And I think that's the beauty of the moment, that it's nothing in cement, like it's for us, for all the creators in the place and for all the scientists and all the consumers and everyone to shape that place. So yeah, that's just like a little bit of an intro about like what I'm up for these days. And yeah, maybe to start with, before we go on and just mint something on OpenSea, like straight away, I just thought I'd give you like a little bit of a very basic information about NFT lingo, but probably most of the terms are actually understood by now, I guess. Like NFTs, probably everyone understands. But just again, like it's a non-fungible token, and other than a fungible token, which for example the US dollar or euro would be, which you can exchange like $100 against $100, and all of them are exactly the same. NFT is non-fungible, so you can't exchange. It's unique. But again, maybe also like briefly, like the artist perspective for me as a digital artist, it was just a revolution in itself to have the possibility to now earn, to work as a digital artist, like in something which was not possible before. And like many people always say, oh no, now every like digital artist getting rich and stuff. It's just not true. And also like that, like our whole world is mainly created from digital artists. Like everything you see, and they had like no value before, and now to live in times like these where you can actually make an okay living with that, that's for me is really like mind-blowing. And also like the paradigm shift which we have with the blockchain and all like the socioeconomic change which is possible, and you can create art within that ecosystem, that's really mind-blowing for me. Yeah, let's go through the other terms minting is often used is simply like the process how you bring your artwork on the blockchain. Usually it costs gas to do so, and we're gonna be minting something on OpenSea. And the logic there, like it's the minting is lazy, how they call it, and that means like it only costs you whenever someone would buy or bid on your artwork. So when the moment you mint it is actually free. And then there are the gas fees, often also used. It's basically to compensate for the computing energy required to process and validate transactions on the Ethereum blockchain, which is like the most used blockchain, but there are like also other blockchains used, which are more, which have like lower gas fees or are more environmentally friendly. Another important concept is royalties. And that's also something like incredible, like now in the art world, in the crypto, like in the NFT space compared to what we had before. Royalties means that also like for every secondary sale I would have on Super Rare, for example, I'd get 10% of the sales. So that's also something like very beautiful. Like over time, you can build up like a nice amount of artwork, which gains you some kind of like passive income over time, and that gives you great stability, and it's an awesome concept. And on Super Rare it's 10%. I think on Foundation it's 10% as well, and on other platforms you can put in whatever you want, but that's roughly like the standard of the industry, I'd say. And then also what you hear a lot is the term DAO. It stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization, and a lot of the projects and a lot of like even like the marketplaces or the museums like Super Rare or Museum of Crypto Art, they organize themselves as DAOs. That basically mainly means it's not like one person, or like it's not centrally owned by someone, like it's governed and owned by the community. And that's something like I'm often thinking like, oh, I'm living like in the future already, like looking at, for example, how again like Super Rare or Museum of Crypto Art did it. They really like gave the ownership to all the artists, to the investors, to the people in the place, meaning really like they airdropped the value of the company into the pockets of everyone participating. And that's really something that gives me hope, kind of like, yeah, that's, I mean, if you compare that to Facebook, for example, that's a whole different world. And that's where I say, this is not blah, blah, it's happening already. And these are like new generational ideas, which are incredibly interesting. And and projects which are being experimented with at the moment. And it's definitely not easy, and there are like pitfalls everywhere, but that's the beauty. It's in process and shit happens all the time. And that's everyone knows. Another thing like crypto wallet, we will see that in a minute. Like you need something if you mint your NFT, you need to have like something like a wallet such as MetaMask, where like the funds flow in and out with and then the blockchain, probably also everyone knows, like basically it's like a decentralized database. It's a system of recording information in a way that it makes it difficult or impossible to change, hack, or cheat the system. And then there are like different ones, like Bitcoin was the first, but for NFTs, mainly Ethereum is used. But then there are like other ones like Polygon or Solana, and many more. So yeah, let's maybe just go on and create an NFT. So now hopefully you can see what I see on OpenSea. So this is it's one of the marketplaces. It's other than some of the curated ones. It's like it's a huge marketplace, like first one where everyone really can come in and launch something. So what I already did was like I have my account there. I have my wallet connected. You see it up here. So you go on this side, you can, I will shoot you a link later
Sorry
on.
to interrupt. Probably you need to reswitch your screen share.
Sorry again?
I see on the screen your presentation.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh.
just stop screen sharing and share the different window.
Okay, that's a good one.
If you can find it at all, I had a lot of cases where
Yeah,
people find
that was
it.
the problem. Like
Yeah.
20 windows open.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you see it now? Thanks, Gleb.
Now we see OpenSea. Create new item.
Okay, cool. So yeah, that's my account on OpenSea, and you just go on OpenSea asset create. And here I have like another create new item. I can now put that on the side. Oops. So here I can drag and drop. I now just take something from my desktop, anything really, like it's whatever JPEG, you know, something that I painted. I give it a name. It's a playing card I made once, and the surfer is called Steph Gilmore. So I just call it Steph Gilmore playing card. And here in the external link, you could link to whatever your website, or if it's maybe you created a website for the project where you explain more. I leave it empty just because it's more like a test. Then here you can here you could link it with a collection. Let's say you have like I would have like a full set of playing cards and they all belong to that. I could link it here. The next one is like you have these properties, textual traits. It's more if you have yeah, maybe some items for a game or something like that, I guess. Same here. I don't really need it right now. Levels. Unlockable content is probably really cool. Like if you want to add something, only the person who buys the NFT can look, can see. Here under supply, you can say it's going to be like a one-on-one NFT, or you maybe like make an edition of whatever 50 or something. Here you can choose the blockchain you want to mint it on. It was Ethereum. Let's just try Polygon. And then you click on create. And it's loading. And that's it. You just created Steph Gilmore playing card, and you could share it now, social media or anything like that. So it's really yeah, these, and here you see it's up there. Okay, cool. Let me change back to, I'll stop share and go back to the presentation. Oops, no, I'm in. Sorry. Now I need to find my. Okay, so cool. Yeah, we did that. Now we oops, let me go back into the presentation. So actually there's some fees involved. if you open an account on OpenSea, if you start selling, it's something like between 70 and 300 US dollar, I think. And then the second transaction grants OpenSea access to your NFTs. It's about like 10 to 30 US dollar. But then later on, like once you mint your NFTs, like you saw now, it didn't cost me anything. It's lazy minting, which again, like what I said before, it's only like I only have to pay whenever someone bids on that. And then if I sell it, then OpenSea would get like a 2.5% of the NFT price. And this is like different on other platforms, as mentioned before. Usually I would always like create my artwork on Super Rare, where I actually have to pay 15% to the platform, and the buyer pays an additional 3%. And there are other pitfalls probably you have to think about when you launch an NFT. Something like to think about is like the platform you mint it on and how the NFTs are stored there. On the big platforms, it's probably not so much to worry about, but some of, like in the early days, like some of the marketplaces, they kind of like disappeared after the bear markets. Jason Bailey, for example, told me like it's the guy, he's called like Art Gnome on Twitter. Maybe you heard about him. Like he's a very like inspiring source as well. Anyway, like if you want to read about or hear about the NFT scene, he bought like one of the first like Xcopy artworks on a marketplace, which now doesn't exist anymore. So it completely like disappeared, and like it would have been millions. Like Snoop Dogg like bought like one of the other artworks of Xcopy for $3.3 million, and you can't do anything about it. It just disappeared. So there are like different options of how you can, like first you want to make sure like either you launch your artwork kind of like a credible platform where these things hopefully won't happen, or you store it on Airweave, or make sure like you save it like as in a safe place, so the collectors later on will not be surprised that your artwork just disappears. Kind of like an obligation I think you have as an artist to make sure it's gonna stay there. Then yeah, maybe some quick intro into very different platforms. There's so many out there. Some of them are curated, others are not. And all of them have their charm. It's probably really just to find what fits you the best. So as mentioned, like I launched my, can I put that out of the way? My art on Super Rare, and yeah, it's like a lot of the artwork there is like one-on-one NFTs, and yeah, it's highly curated, so it's only like a few, like a small number of handpicked artists. Then it's like Nifty Gateway. It's like a very popular NFT place. A lot of like the NFT celebrities would like launch their work there, like People, Pack, Daniel Assam, Grimes. So yeah, it's really like a high-end price, high-end marketplace, and like usually the sales, they reach like crazy sales numbers, and you can even like already bet like, oh, this is gonna be, it's like gonna be like a lot of money involved. What's like also really interesting is async, for example. It's kind of like more really like an art movement built on a blockchain, and it's more like programmable arts. Like you have like you do not only have like one image or one animation. It's really, you can buy like masters and layers, and then like maybe one person buys like the main picture, another person buys like various like layers on different colors, and so the artwork changes, and so it's very experimental, and I think actually it has like a huge potential. It's really, really interesting. And all of these platforms just have like different different angles, if you will. So there's Rarible, it's huge, like it's again like super nice, like everyone can come in, but it's also probably a little bit like difficult to market yourself because you like just like so many people there. But if you have like a strong following or you do your own marketing somewhere else, then it's probably really interesting. And yeah, OpenSea we've just seen. And yeah, so many of them. Shara is very interesting. Foundation, known origin. Versum is very interesting. Like it's like powered on Tezos. Like if you would say, for example, like the bigger platforms which would mainly work on Ethereum, it's maybe not like so much a thing right now because like the high gas prices are like the big discussion about like the environmental problems. Then Versum might be a good option, and there are a lot of them. This like inspirational people or reads, that's actually something that what I found like very interesting when I stumbled into the NFT space. Like I was like, to be honest, like really surprised of all the people there. Like most of them were like mind blowing. Like wow, super cool. And it's really like a community. It's now, of course, like with all the money flowing in, it's a little bit like it's not that personal anymore, but it's still there. And it's really not like it's usually really like a communication. Like it's not just okay, I sell my thing. It's really like a give and take kind of thing. So if you want to dive into the world, I just listed you like a few sources which you might go through. Like the first one is really interesting. Vertical crypto art is run by a woman called Nicole, and she kind of like documents the space. She hosts artists in residencies, and it's probably the leading Web3 curatorial media studio for NFT fine art, digital art, and new media. Another good address to check is Museum of Crypto Art. They are represented in the Metaverse as well. They have like a huge museum there, and they kind of like, if you'd say that like, oh, I'm bored by like all the 10K projects, then might be interesting for you to check those guys. They have like a very different angle. They really like interested in seeing the culture change, pioneering frontier technology, and fostering the NFT revolution. And it's really like for them, really like the question is what you want. It's not so much about them. It's really like about, you know, decentralization and exploring these ideas. Then Jason Bailey is also really interesting to follow on Twitter. He's like an OG speaker, artist, just yeah, very much involved in the community, and yeah, just by following him, you get a good idea of the whole philosophy and the vibe of the place, I guess. Then there are like there's like so much out there. You could follow like the newsletter from Loopify. He's covering everything like NFT related and some sort of analysis. Like also he goes a little bit more like a financial direction, I guess. Like more like probably Twitter is a good place with yeah, so many people to follow. Like Sarah Saka is a good place. She's a woman, American artist, living in Los Angeles. Just a witty, smart, intelligent person. Always like interesting to see her in podcasts and in interviews. And she has like that strange mix of like mixing like outdated technology, like video with avant-garde technology. Then Gary V is obviously very interesting to follow, and his project V Friends. And yeah, like sometimes there's like a lot of money involved. Like his project, Be Friends, I think in the first 90 days they produce like they earned like $90 million or something like that. It's, I mean, whatever your niche is, you can find anything. And I think like what's really amazing about him is like how they foster the community and how they bring people together and how they redefine business in Web3. And then Naval Ravikant is very interesting. He takes more of a philosophical approach. He was the founder of AngelList, kind of like one of the Silicon Valley tech voices, but yeah, a very firm believer in Web3, in NFT communities, in crypto in general. And a few more like Matty, Chris Dixon, Park, Trevor Jones, for example, an artist, like a more like traditional oil painter who taps into NFTs. So that it's like whatever your niche is, whatever you find interesting, you can find it like in the NFT space. Yeah, what else? I listed here some further learning. I participated, for example, in Kernel. It's like a community like for Web3 builders. It's not so much about like NFTs itself. It's more like the whole ecosystem, which obviously involves Web3. But I found it like very interesting, especially like coming back to what we said in the beginning, like, okay, you have to, as an artist, to understand, like, you know, it's not about money. It can be about all these kind of things. And they really, it's kind of like a learning and community platform to build Web3 and just to connect with people who have different ideas. And it's like a really interesting mix of people, a lot of developers, a lot of coders, marketing people, artists, musicians, everyone really, like that was really like a unique experience. And I think they're gonna recruit soon again. So yeah. And below here I list like there's so much information out there. You can, on OpenSea, you can create your own NFT contracts. There's like information how you can do your taxes, how you can mint like gas free and all these kind of things. But that's probably going like too far for today. So maybe you just want to read. And yeah, that's about it actually. So yeah, thanks for your time. And if you have questions, then please shoot.
Thank you very, very much, Claudie. There were some questions in between. I'm not sure whether we 100% answered them in the chat. So there were some questions, I think, about gas costs and sending crypto money or turning crypto money into fiat money again. So if we should lose some more words on this, please let us know.
Jason is a cool beardy dude, yeah. He just like recently posted on Twitter, his brother is the most beardy dude he knows. I'm sorry, yeah, but was the other question now answered with gas fees? I'm just scrolling through to see.
Yeah, it's so good that we recorded all this. I was not quick enough to follow all those people that you mentioned. There were a lot I didn't follow yet.
I can send you afterwards. I can even, I don't know if like upload the
presentation.
The files.
That would be great. Then I could add it to the website.
Glad to do so.
Right. So seems not to be the case that there seem to be no more questions. Everybody now knows why we're doing all this and how to mint an NFT, and now it's time to find out how to sell it, because we've heard a lot about NFTs and it's still too many a miracle why some NFTs look like monkeys and go for millions and others look much more beautiful and don't sell at all. And I'm very lucky, sad and happy, glad and happy that Dr. Annette Doms is here. And Annette, I would kindly invite you to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about how to become successful with NFTs.
Okay, great. So thanks for the invitation. So I'm art historian. I'm really coming from the traditional art market and have a big passion for technology-based art. So I did an art fair in 2014, the Unpainted Art Fair, together with two co-founders dedicated for digital art. And since 1 year, so I changed my whole business because of Web3, NFT, and Metaverse. That's really like this. And yeah, so I switch into my presentation. That would be the best. What we talk about here is about market strategies. And so I would say, so in the art market, the secret is just to do good work and to share it with people, right? So this is the easiest way to sell art. But I would like to give you an introduction into the NFT market. So first, let's talk about the artwork itself, the visibility, and then also about some platforms we haven't seen yet. And so buying and promoting art is always like this: be informed, yeah, be objective, and especially be realistic, especially if we could look at the art markets. So the contemporary art market is maximum uncertain, and the NFT market is a very high risk investment and very volatile. So we have to keep this in the background. And so people trust about numbers nowadays, and we will see some numbers as well. So let's talk about the artwork. And maybe, so I have chosen this because everybody knows the Bored Apes, Bored Ape Yacht Club, which is very high in price. So I went through the floor price today. It's 103 Ether. And in comparison to that, for example, the Cryptomats by Kenny Schachter, which is a very great artist, the floor price is a little bit lower. And the question is why? Yeah. So, and I thought maybe we go through to understand the reasons for it. So the secret behind blue chip NFTs like Bored Apes or Clone X, Moonbirds as well, or Suki, these are all profile pictures, is a combination of the team. The whole crypto or NFT community is looking behind the team. Then there is a roadmap. We have to talk about the utility of an NFT. The community is very, very important. Without the community, there would be nothing. And then the funding. So people also look behind investors who really trust in projects. And to understand the success of the Bored Apes is to understand that they didn't sell only JPEGs or something like that. So what they created is a real ecosystem around the whole project. So first of all, it was last year in April, if I remember right, that started the 10,000 profile pictures by Bored Apes, and it started with a yacht club. So if you have a Bored Ape, so you are a member of a yacht club, which you can see here. Then it is that you have IP rights with these profile pictures, and you can do anything with it, yeah. And there's also right now a film trilogy where you can also cast with your Bored Apes, and you can really earn money with these Bored Apes. Then there have been, and this is very common in the NFT space, so-called airdrops. This is something what you get when you start or own an NFT, that you get an airdrop is something you get for free in your wallet. And this happened last year, that you got some serum that your bored apes could drink, and then they changed to a mutant ape. And then maybe you heard about, they created an own ape coin, and this ape coin is the entrance to something that happened last weekend to the other side, which is an own metaverse where you can also buy land, and nobody knows yet what will happen in this digital land, but so the community is looking pretty forward to it, and I guess so everything what they did right now was gold at the end, and this will be the same. And another thing is that also brands are interested in these kind of NFT blue chip works, like Adidas, for example, who entered into the Bored Ape world. And yeah, so, but the interesting thing, more important for you as an artist, is the secret behind your NFTs. Yeah, as I said, so the artwork is the most important thing, and it's much more than just a digital file. This we have to keep in the back. It's also a combination. It's a combination of you as an artist, of course, your handwriting. I will show you some showcases, your story. So if you enter the NFT market, it's good to think about a good story, or to make a storyboard, or also to think about a utility. So what can people do with my NFT artwork? The funny thing is, when I talk to digital artists in this NFT space, and they ask their collectors, because they also don't understand, do you want something in addition? Shall I make a print or something? So the NFT collectors say, no, it's fine. I don't need this. And on the other side, if you go to the traditional art market, and they also want to enter into the NFT space, it is that what shall I do with a JPEG? So I need something physical, yeah. And so you have to have this in mind. And last but not least, it's the connectivity. Of course, you have to work on your own ecosystem to enter the market. And so I thought the best way to understand the market strategies is really to look into some showcases, as Francis Picabia already said, so our heads are round, so our thoughts can change direction. This is what normally happens if you see what you can do with it, that you rethink your own work, that you rethink your medium, and something very special and something very great can come out. So first, I guess everybody knows this work, People Every Day, the first 5,000 days, that was sold at Christie's last year for nearly $60 million. How could this happen? I would say, and maybe you agree, is that this was the first ever NFT work in an auction house. So it was also maybe the first time that an artist entered the primary market in an auction house. And this means that this was a kind of historical moment. And on the other side, there have been some tech nerds that really wanted to have this. So there were bidders, and they bid this piece pretty high, and also for them it was a very historical moment, and they wanted to be part of it. But either you think it's art or not art, People is an artist who is working in the digital space for a longer time than only this piece, and yeah, so. If we talk about history, these kind of historical works that Gleb mentioned at the beginning are also very interesting as a collectible, like this work by Kevin McCoy, Quantum, which is mentioned as the first NFT artwork in the art market, that was also sold for a very high price. And then we have this what also Claudia was mentioned. This is a work by Xcopy, and also a blue chip NFT artist who has a very typical own handwriting. Yeah, this is what I meant with handwriting. It's a London-based crypto artist, and he has been a part of the crypto art community since the beginning. And the style, as you can see, is very iconic. So it's very cartoonish, animated, illustrated, and used with bright colors and black outlines, and mostly with a psychedelic background. And I also put here on the side the properties on OpenSea. This is also something what the NFT collectors are pretty looking very deep, is this percentage of properties an item has. For example, here the artist is, or the GIF, it's 4%. I have this trait, or the portrait. A portrait from this artist is only 2%, and so this is also something that creates the value of an artist. Then we have artists, blue chip artists that play with the medium itself, like Puck is a conceptual artist, and this happened in December, if I remember right. Yeah, it's written down. Yeah, so what you can see here, it was dropped on Nifty Gateway, and so this was the timeline where you could drop it, and there was an announcement at the beginning. So if you enter the NFT market, maybe you can also, after creating your work, thinking about the story, you can announce it. Yeah, so this announcement is very important. And after the announcement, you can still work in the background and do things. And then people, there must be a high demand on when a project is starting. And this happened with Puck at this time. And so he's also a contemporary artist who used the blockchain as NFT as a medium. And this drop, the merge, was about collecting, merging, and consuming mass, as you can see here. So if you collect two of these merges, so they are combined together, and the mass is growing. So the more merge you have, the bigger the mass. So this was the idea behind, and the sale offered potential collectors the opportunity to purchase stakes, and that could be added to a larger mass and toward the end. And at the end, there have been nearly 30,000 collectors who spent nearly $22 million in 2 days to buy a total of 312,000, a little bit more, units of the so-called merge. So this is how projects can happen, and how much money you can make in a short time with NFTs. But this is, of course, a very exceptional case, but yeah, it can work. So now I'm out of my presentation. I think I have to go out because I let somebody enter. I come back. So can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Then I go on. This is something what you can do with an NFT artwork. So you can put it in a frame, and you can make your own space and present.
You can share your screen again.
Okay, good. Now you can see it?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is something what you can do with an NFT artwork. So this is one of my NFT artworks. I put it in a frame, and I have it, and I can enjoy it on my mobile phone. I can enjoy it on my screen, and so it makes fun. So for me, it makes fun. Then we have another conceptual work by Damien Hirst. Maybe you heard about it, The Currency. He also played with the medium. So the idea was that these works have been all minted, and you as a collector had the choice either to keep this NFT as an artwork or to choose a physical artwork, a print out of it. And I don't know exactly the number of what happened, but I guess so most of the collectors have been NFT collectors, and I'm pretty sure they decided for the NFT, and so the physical work was destroyed or burned. And then there is Raphael Rosendahl. He's a little bit younger, but also blue chip. Meanwhile, he's he's coming from the net art. This was his medium, and for him, for example, net art is a kind of pre-NFT because it's also code-based, and he was some years ago already very convinced that there will be a generation of collectors that doesn't want to deal with physical objects, and same was with websites. And now he's doing NFTs, very successful. And he, for example, he also doesn't understand the value. So for the websites for him are more important, and crypto collectors, he said, often have never seen his other artwork before. And but he likes that the works now can be on a chain, and he also has his own handwriting, as you can see, and he's continuously working on his handwriting and concept, and so he has quite a fan base now he can work with. Then this, maybe you also heard about, it's the Botto project. It's made by artists in the circle of Mario Klingemann, a very famous artist who is based in Munich as well. So this is a project, it's a DAO project, like Claudia also mentioned already, so a decentralized autonomous organization. This is a decentral autonomous artist who creates artworks during the week, some hundreds. And then end of the week, a community decides which one is valuable for an auction. And then there's the auction, and so you can buy these artworks with an own currency as well, so the Botto currency, and then money is coming back as well. So this is also a kind of ecosystem, and what you as an artist can also think about to create an ecosystem or to create an own community around your work. And yeah, so this, of course, we have to mention the famous teletext NFTs. It's also pretty interesting because of its own handwriting, and with several artists. And these artists, what I like very much is that they also used appropriation art, so using images or maybe artists from history to create artworks, or playing with the current images you can see, like the bored apes. And yeah, so very important to mention within all these NFT projects. The belief in NFTs is pretty high. This was an action that happened last year as well. The authentic Banksy art burning ceremony, what you can see on YouTube, and I really would recommend to watch it. So what have they done? They burned a real artwork, but with the information that it's not really burned, because what have they done is to bring the original work onto the blockchain before. So and so the eternal space for this work, and so it's not really burned, and it doesn't matter because it's still on the blockchain and maybe more valuable at the end. Same happened with Picasso. This work was also burned and then sold as an NFT. And to explain NFTs, I always like to show famous Mona Lisa. Yeah, so everybody knows her, everybody shares her image, and but she exists only once at the Louvre in Paris and was made by Leonardo da Vinci. So maybe this is the easiest way to explain how NFT works. It's about ownership and about to certify artworks. Then the visibility, very important to think about market strategies. The most communication takes place on Discord, which is a kind of chatting tool where things are discussed, where you can write down announcements and discuss about subjects and discuss about NFT in general. So every big brand or also some artists have an own Discord. Then Twitter, of course, very important. The second important space to communicate, and I would say for the art world as well, Instagram, which is more visible and which is a kind of peer-to-peer system for artists. You could already communicate with collectors directly with direct messages long before the NFT hype. But these three tools, I would say, are the most important. And so here, this is a side I would love to show you to introduce the importance of NFTs, because this was the Power 100 report last year, end of December, by Art Review. And this is a report that explains what people, normally these are people, or maybe also development is the most important for the art world. And last year it was an NFT. So you can imagine that the future is going into this direction. And it is why this is also very important. You mentioned it before. It is because the Web3 is coming now. If we remember back, so the Web 1, which was in the 90s, was one-dimensional. It was very static. It was just for e-commerce. It was based on a server, and we could only read there. Yeah. Then the Web 2 came. And the Web 2 is the web we currently still using. It's two-dimensional, it's interactive, centralized. It's all about the sharing economy. It's also server-based and it's cloud-driven. But we can read and write there and, of course, share there what we do every day. But now we enter the Web 3, and the Web 3 is multidimensional. It is decentralized, blockchain-based. It's AR-driven with AR-driven services, and it's also the metaverse we have been talking at the beginning. And what we can do here is read, write, and own, and we can own about or over our own data, and we can create the whole content, and it's a whole creators economy. And that's it. That's the reason why NFTs are not just a hype, but a revolution, and why NFTs are really needed. So if you think about all these digital rooms, they must be filled with furniture, they must be filled with decoration stuff, they must be filled with art. And this is one reason why the market is very interesting in this. So this is the case with Web3. We connect with a wallet. And so maybe after this keynote, it's the time that you really download a wallet and that you create a wallet, because a wallet, digital wallet, is something you use first. It's really something you need to buy, to create, and to own NFTs. Then we have some platforms. You already mentioned some. So these two platforms are open for everybody. There's no curation behind. For artists, maybe interesting, because at the end, all these marketplaces like art blocks is, for example, for generative art. Super Rare is something for unique pieces. Maker's Place also for unique places. They have been involved with the Beeple sale. And but to enter these marketplaces is also that you have been invited, or it's not so easy. And you can imagine that they also have there's a very high demand for all these marketplaces. And so maybe the first way for most of the artists is super rare and rareable at the beginning. Then we have foundation. They have edition and drop editions, and Nifty Gateway also editions. Foundation is more auction, sorry, so this is wrong written. And then we have Artano, which is a famous marketplace on Cardano, and then the marketplace for Tezos as well. Because you, as an artist, you can decide where to drop or where to bring on which blockchain you bring your NFTs. And Cardano and Tezos, for example, are more eco-friendly. Same with Polygon, and this is your decision. And then you can also create your own minting pages. This is something we did with Holger Lippmann, also a digital pioneer in computer art. So he has his own homepage, Holger Lippmann.io, where you can mint his works. This could be also a solution for artists. And then maybe to show you some use application, it's always funny. So why it is so successful, it's all about digital identity. Yeah, so people really use their, especially profile pictures, to create an own identity. And here it's also about the status symbol. So the guy sold his Lamborghini for an NFT because he thinks it's a better investment. And then a lot of celebrities and also sports people are in this Bored Ape community, and they also use it as profile picture on Twitter, for example. What happens very often on conference calls is that you don't see real persons anymore, but NFT profile pictures. And this is also something that happens in the metaverse, that we will have different identities. Yeah, so if you have different profile pictures and different names, and you're anonymous, and so you can walk through the worlds. And then to come back to the art, this is something when we talk about utility that happened last year at Uffizien in Florence. So they sold real artwork in Tondi by Michelangelo as a digital twin. This is what you can do as an artist as well, to do just a digital twin and sell it. But I would recommend to really make a story around it. And so this was something that helped a lot to compensate the lack of tickets during the COVID time. This is a project that was dedicated to charity by the collective group Peng. And the golden NFT was created and was a project where you could buy artworks, and so the income of the artworks were given to Afghanistanian people to come into to come to Germany and to get a real visa. So this is also something you can do, and this is also a use case, so you can use it on your smartwatch or as a necklace. This I found on Twitter. Of course, you can print out NFTs wherever you want. And this is the art gallery, Nagel Draxler, that have done one of the first galleries that have done an NFT show at Art Basel last year. Here you can see how NFTs can be presented. So on screens, on Aludibond, as a sculpture, as a print. So whatever, you can do whatever you want with an NFT. This is the funny thing. And this is a project that happens also during the NFT My Munich. It's also my project. We co-founded last month, and we will bring the NFTs in back to an architecture that was something what I really missed on the whole NFT market. So the two-dimensional presentation of NFTs. So we built an AR architecture, VR architecture, where you can consume NFTs on the wall again, and this will be launched in May in Munich. So we will have 2 X-Circle shows. One is in May at Blitz Club, and the other one end of May in Pascha in also Germany, and it's very exciting. So it's our debut. And yeah, so that's it. I hope you could learn something and think about all these possibilities. And my advice would be, as Gleb also said, so nothing is impossible, just do it, try it out, and the better today than yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Definitely, I learned a lot. This was really, really insightful. I have to admit, I saw some of your presentations before, and there's always something new to discover. Really, really helpful. Are there some questions in the audience? I think there was some question about, like, now Claudie and you mentioned a lot of platforms, and somebody said, well, where to start? It's like how to decide a platform. Is there some advice you could give, like if you have no idea whatsoever and you want to mint your NFT?
My advice would be, for the first time, really to mint on OpenSea. So nothing can happen there. So just you can try it out. If you have your own community, you can send it around. This would be the easiest thing for the beginning, because as I said, it's not so easy to enter the NFT market through the platforms. It's the same like the traditional art market. It's not so easy for artists to enter a gallery. So the access to marketplaces is the same, but OpenSea and Rarible is very easy.
I would say that it's better to start with building a community. So that's the first step. And then when you have at least, like, I don't know, at least 10, okay, 10 is too small amount, but like at least 100 of people who knows about you and who follows you, that's the first thing to do. And then you can, like, you just building up your story, and then you start minting. So it's like kind of personal approach to the thing.
Probably the sustainable approach, yeah, but some people cannot wait that much. They think, I just have to draw an ape and I will have the Lambo community. Any further questions on the last talk, or anything on the topic of metaverse, NFTs, blockchain, scams, money laundering, whatever? Or maybe I have a question, because I see Christian Pfeiffer here in the audience list, and we have been talking about several NFT May events. Maybe if he's listening, maybe he would have time to tell us a few words to advertise.
Hi, yeah, I can hear you.
Events you're preparing. Yeah.
Perfect. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, perfect. So a big hello to the audience. I'm Christian from the NFT May 2022 in Munich. And yeah, we have launched one of the most biggest event series in Munich for NFTs. And in the upcoming next 26 days, we have in total 12 events at 10 places, and you are all invited to join us. So there are different things you can join. So we have NFT masterclasses like today. Then we have art galleries. Then we will have a MOOC XYZ Congress at Haus der Kunst. And also Annette is launching a surprise in Munich. So
surprise, no.
A big surprise, huh?
Semi-surprised. So I already showed the ground floor. Yes. We are talking about spheres. Yeah.
Yeah, but our aim is, and Annette is joining us at the NFT Mai as well. Our aim is to build a broad community for NFTs, and that is getting into public, and that the education level is rising. So join, and if you like, just go to Instagram. We have our own page, it's NFT Mai, and then you get all the information.
Maybe it's interesting to mention the POAP. So a POAP is a proof of attendancy. This is also a utility in the NFT space where you can get people into the subject. Yeah, so every participant of this NFT May in Munich can claim a POAP token, and this is the first step. So it's for free, and of course people have to download a wallet and to use the wallet to get it. And so this is also an educational step into the whole space.
Yeah, that's true, and it was sponsored by Annette.
By MetaDips, yeah.
And the company MetaDips. And I take a look today, we already minted 20 items so far. So I think it's accelerating. And we are going to educate the Munich community.
All right, I have to grab one fast.
Yeah, we will grab some more.
Thank you very much. And it can hardly be like overestimated how important it is, the event series like this, because everyone is talking about the NFT space, but in fact, even here in Munich, there are so many people that still don't know from each other, and many people, they think they're the center of the NFT universe, and then suddenly they find out that there are many universes, and this is what events like this are good for. And I just put the website link into the chat here for somebody if you want to explore more.
I was just reading a nice information that only 16% knows about NFTs, but out of the 16%, 80% are convinced it will be the entry level for the Web3. So I guess these numbers are saying a lot, because of course not many people know about it, but everyone who is reading about it and takes some time with it is sure that will be the next step for the Web3. So interesting.
Yeah, there's some kind of entrance barrier, and I think to some people it just appears like, oh no, stay away from this, I will never get it. But once you're above this little barrier, you think, wow, what a new world, I will never go back.
It will change our whole lives. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, for me, it already did. So, I mean, I'm not a Lambo owner or bike owner or millionaire, but
at least it's already changing, like for a while already, but it will be much more changing in the future.
Of course. And one of the participants today at the other workshop, he said he was really happy to join the workshop because he did not understand so much, but he started to train his Web3 muscle. And I think that's the point. Also at a special point, you have to start, and then in the next months, you can come up with all the ideas.
Yeah, and don't get frustrated or intimidated by other people. You think they know much more. I think my experience in most cases, like nobody knows everything, because the space is developing so quickly, like you have no chance to know what's going on in somewhere on Bali, for example, unless you are there.
Yeah. And for example, last year, everyone was talking about the energy consumption. And now you have Polygon. Yeah, and it's done. So you see how fast it's innovating.
There is a lot of different blockchains which are just green by default from the beginning, and that's really great to see that it's really gaining some attention and people really using it. So same Tezos is like, I remember the time when everybody was like, oh, Hic Nunc is nothing, it's just like it won't be success. But then like everybody like, wow, it's cool, we need to jump on it. And then there was this split, and then Versum appeared and object and something. So yeah, a lot of things changing, and right now it's like it was mentioned in any other conferences, right now we're too early and it's wild, wild west, and it's up to us what we can do and how we can change it.
Exactly. In the next 6 to 12 months, the narrative will be written.
Oh, yes.
Great.
All right.
We are the future.
Are there still any questions like on the technical part, or like on what is metaverse or something while we're here? Doesn't seem to be.
I think all the questions will appear when everybody will rethink about what was today.
Yeah, and therefore it's good that we have the recording, which I think I will stop right now, the recording, or oh, maybe there's somebody turned on the camera as if wanted to ask a question, please.
I just wanted to say thank you and hi, so that you see me in real and not just my name. Yeah, it was very interesting talk of you all.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
So we stop in the recording.
We're stopping the recording. Yeah.
Okay.
And most important, I want to say thank you to the Cultural Department of the City of Munich for funding this project, as well as to the Kompetenzteam Kultur- und Kreativwirtschaft of the City of Munich for providing this gallery window to us for the next month. Thanks a lot.
And of course to Blockchain Bavaria.
Yeah, of course, for the promotion. Thank you. Yeah.